On April 28, 1967, at the Military Induction Center in Houston, Texas, an officer called the name Cassius Marcellus Clay 3 times. Each time the room was silent. He did not step forward. That single act of stillness, lasting perhaps 3 seconds, would cost him everything he had built and prove everything he believed. He was born in Louisville, Kentucky in 1942, the son of a sign painter in the American South. He learned to fight because someone stole his bicycle when he was 12 years old, and a police officer told him to learn to defend himself first. He did. In 1960, he traveled to Rome and won the Olympic gold medal in light heavyweight boxing, representing the country that still had segregated lunch counters. He wore that medal everywhere, sleeping with it around his neck. Then he returned home to Louisville and was refused service at a restaurant because he was black. He threw the medal into the Ohio River. It was not a gesture. It was a verdict. On February 25, 1964, he fought Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship of the world. Liston was supposed to destroy him. Liston refused to come out for the 7th round. The next morning, the new champion held a press conference and announced he had joined the Nation of Islam. The day after that, he told the world his name was Muhammad Ali. 3 years later, the United States government reclassified him as eligible for military service. He applied for conscientious objector status on the grounds of his Islamic faith. The request was denied. He reported to the induction center. They called his name. He stood still. He had said publicly that he had no quarrel with the Viet Cong, that no Viet Cong had ever called him the name that white Americans had called him all his life. He did not elaborate. He did not need to. Within hours, they stripped him of his boxing license. Within weeks, they took his passport. He was 25 years old. A federal court convicted him of draft evasion and sentenced him to 5 years in prison. He was free on appeal but could not fight and could not leave the country. He lost 3.5 years at the peak of his athletic life. He filled those years speaking. He went to universities and spoke about race and war and the cost of empire. He debated. He argued. He said things about America that no one else with his platform was saying. He was, in exile, louder than most people are at the height of their careers. On June 28, 1971, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned his conviction by a vote of 8-0. The evidence had been handled improperly. The wiretapping was illegal. The Selective Service had never provided adequate reasons for denying his conscientious objector claim. He had been right. The government had been wrong. He came back. He fought Joe Frazier in Madison Square Garden. He fought George Foreman in Kinshasa. He became something larger than a boxer, a figure who had placed himself in the path of the machinery of an entire nation and survived. At the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, they gave him the torch to light the flame at the opening ceremony. His hands were trembling. He had lived with Parkinson's disease for more than a decade, and the disease had taken his voice and most of his movement. He held the torch steady. He lit the flame. The entire world watched a man who had refused to be broken hold the fire that started everything. 2 billion people watching on television. Complete silence in the stadium around him. Nobody who was in that stadium that night will ever forget it. He died in Phoenix, Arizona on June 3, 2016. He was 74 years old.